okay? If it's so predisposed with like dishing out or fighting the battles of the establishment consultants of the party, the establishment wing of the party, then it's going to be unproductive. And this is one of those moments. Like, it's a structure of power for those in positions of power is meritocracy, the myth of meritocracy. Instead of saying, God has ordained you to be the king, to rule over this land, we say meritocracy is real, and this person worked hard and worked smart, and that's why he must rule over me. The lie that it tells people, the lie that it tells the average commoner is that one day you too can be a king. Now, monarchs didn't do that. In chat is being uniquely chat today. Okay, good to know. I mean, I kind of sense it, but it's all good. What else was I going to say? What else? Oh, yeah. And then there was also the chorus side of the equation. That was before the Bernie interview, but apparently I've pissed off Brian Tyler Cohen a little bit. And it all started when this one chorus content creator was saying some ridiculous shit on the timeline. For those of you who don't know, Chorus is a dark money funded, DNC adjacent operation. There are leftists. There are people who are progressive. There are people who are to the left of the centrist liberals that are a part of this like organization that offers financial support, but they are funded. They are funded by, some big donors, right? Do with that information what you will, but basically the conversation started when I responded to Zachary Kirk, who I didn't know who he was, and he was like talking about how like the far left used to love Jasmine Crockett, now they hate her because they're racist, all this stuff, which I wholeheartedly think is like unproductive infighting, right? I think it's an ineffective way to campaign in general. It's what has led to the Bernie flank constantly being undermined. The Bernie flank constantly being undermined with like cynical deployment of identity politics, even if like Bernie Sanders' message was supposed to be a uniting one, rainbow coalition style, as he also talked about as well. Shouts out to Jesse Jackson. And then I found out that he actually someone called him out. Someone said, I'll bet this is about ideology. Asking if Zachary Kirk had ever talked about Ilhan Omar or ever talked about Cori Bush. And he replied to that with, I didn't support either one. And for the record, I strongly support Wesley Bell. Now, Wesley Bell is notoriously one of the worst Democrats and is directly an Israeli operation, right? This is, if we're analyzing this as like someone who wants what's best for the Democratic Party, supporting Wesley Bell is completely unacceptable, right? If we're looking at this as class war, this person is an antagonist. This person is truly, truly not invested in the interests of the working class at all. But that much is obviously, that is obvious, right? If we're thinking about this from the perspective of defeating Republicans, it's a poisonous, toxic, cancerous thing to be in support of. Because Wesley Bell, for those who don't know, one, because of AIPAC's $20 million funding in the primary campaign against Cori Bush, AIPAC punished Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush for being pro-Palestine and being anti-genocide early on, a position that now the majority of the party, 80% of the Democratic Party now agrees with the principles that Cori Bush was defending at a time when it was inopportune for her to do so. AIPAC punished Cori Bush for being right too early. AIPAC punished Jamal Bowman for being right too early, right? And AIPAC punished Cori Bush specifically by spending $20 million in that primary race against Cori Bush by putting up Wesley Bell. Wesley Bell is one of the worst, if not the worst Democrat in office right now. Okay? Truly, truly poisonous. And AIPAC's influence is obviously still very important to address and discuss. For those of you who don't know, AIPAC is obviously the major lobby for Israel. And basically, yeah, he got $8.5 million from Israel. Fuck this dude. Zachary Kirk's sack of shit. So was Wesley Bell. I hate living in Missouri because of them. Wesley Bell, for those of you who don't know, actually had, I mean, he's been very, very unpopular. And he literally had his last town hall like a year ago at this point. And he stopped doing town halls because at his town halls, people would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you so pro-Israel? What the fuck's wrong with you? And he basically brutalized his constituents at his last ever town hall. And he hasn't done town hall since then, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and Wesley Bell's going to be out this year regardless, but it's crazy to me that this guy is like openly saying like, I am associated. I have no issue associating myself at a time when like the anti-Israel position is unfathomably popular, especially in the Democratic Party's base. This guy is openly saying like, I am in favor of corporate-backed, Israel-backed, purely propped up by Israel candidates like Wesley Bell. To which I responded with, chorus-funded creators needs to stop doing shit like this, straight-up Israeli asset. And this doesn't mean like every chorus-funded creator is an Israeli asset, but this guy certainly is presenting himself as that. That was my argument here, okay? And this, of course, frustrated Brian Tyler Cohen, who runs Chorus. I think I'm going to have a longer conversation with him at some point. Like I want to have a conversation with him about like Chorus in general, like what Chorus is seeking to do, what Chorus is trying to do in general. But like any association with AIPAC is like electoral poison, even by centrist liberals. So I think like this is not even a question, right? So he said, the funny part is that there are tons of Chorus creators who like, retweet, follow, support Hasan and his preferred candidates, but he would rather shit on the program because it's convenient to have a boogeyman and feel like a victim. I don't feel like a victim at all. I don't feel like a victim at all. But I even understand the necessity for a media infrastructure to develop in the independent media side of things. I wish the funding structure wasn't so opaque by design. I don't like paying people for their opinions in general. By principle, I think like commentary, especially on the independent side of media, should remain independent, right? And so even if I don't agree with this on some of the aspects of Chorus, I understand why there is at least someone out there trying to. Hasan loves lying about Chorus. What? Yeah, I don't love lying about Chorus, but my point is, I understand why there is a media coalition out there that's trying to get funds to match up with like the fucking the Daily Wire, right? Because the reality of the matter is that's what Chorus is supposed to fight back against. Chorus is supposed to be like a somewhat decentralized version of like what the Daily Wire is, right? Because the Daily Wire is like an institution, an instrument of the party, an instrument of the Republican Party. Chorus is supposed to operate as an instrument of the Democratic Party, okay? So I see utility in that in general, especially in this current media landscape, because someone's got to fucking combat the Republicans. But the difference here is that some of the fucking Chorus content creators are less invested in combating the Republicans and more invested in pushing out the left flank. And unfortunately, the Democratic Party's consultant class also has this same exact interest. So if the people that are giving the notes to some of the Chorus content creators have this ideological commitment to pushing out the left flank, not only like the left flank candidates, which Brian Tyler Cohen doesn't have this ideological predisposition. He interviews left flank candidates all the fucking time. And there are plenty of Chorus adjacent and Chorus funded creators who also like, for example, James Tallarico and prefer James Tallarico over Jasmine Crockett. So I don't necessarily disagree when he says that there is like ideological division amongst chorus content creators. But I'm saying as an institution, as an institution, or as an instrument of the party, if it's so predisposed with the goals of the establishment wing of the party, okay, if it's so predisposed with like dishing out or fighting the battles of the establishment consultants of the party, the establishment wing of the party, then it's going to be unproductive. And this is one of those moments. Like, Wesley Bell is a grifter. Wesley Bell is AIPAC backed. You don't want that stink associated with the rest of the Democratic Party, especially at a time when AIPAC is almost as unpopular as crypto is, right? Like, two things you should be staying away from if you're a fucking Democrat who wants to defeat Republicans is, I don't fuck with crypto, I don't fuck with Israel, right? So when you have chorus creators that are reflecting these values, it basically plays this role of making the entire institution look like that's what they're doing. Okay? Felix responded to Zachary Kirk. I didn't agree with you when you were alive, but it's disgusting that your widow and quote-unquote friends are making AI videos of you pretending you would have supported Jasmine Crockett months after your tragic death in front of millions. That's funny. So I hope that makes this clear, right? I hope this helps people understand. Like, I have a much more reasonable position than people understand. And as a matter of fact, because I have a much more reasonable position than people understand, a lot of people on my side, on my left flank, will consistently yell at me, and they'll say, you're too naive, you're too stupid, you don't treat people that are working with the establishment wing of the party as like enemies. Okay, I'm somewhere in between. I'm not anywhere near as conciliatory to the establishment Democrats as Bernie Sanders is, because I still understand that, but I still understand that you have to work with Democrats as a whole and caucus with the entire party to get some sort of comprehensive agenda across. Okay? Brian Tyler Cohen says, what's to stop you from building a program to that supports creators in the ecosystem? You love me about chorus, which includes leftist liberals and apolitical creators. No time to be a part of the solution, just want to endlessly complain. To which, I mean, that was the part that I think was like the most ridiculous, so I did respond to that. I said, I work with a program. As a matter of fact, I work with multiple programs. I work with the DSA, PSL, labor unions, and anyone that will advance the interests of the working class. Whether it be community organizing, mutual aid, even electing representatives that advance the agenda. And that's because, like, for me, it's not about like the push is not on the content side. The push is on the organizing side, right? I understand everybody plays a different role, right? But the role I like to play, or the role I try to play is to foment an interest in organizing in general, create not groups within the Democratic Party, but create groups outside of the Democratic Party to push the Democratic Party in the appropriate direction that addresses the needs of the working class. Okay? That's my goal. And I'm pretty open about that as well. But it's really interesting that like my haters will still go, odd that you never mentioned these programs on your streams. It's like there's no better indication that this person has not watched a single fucking second of my live streams. Like, this guy said, I don't talk about these programs. Your streams are about 30% grievance against perceived enemies and about 70% anti-USA, anti-Democrat, anti-Israel. That last one is understandable. I said, I just interviewed Bernie Sanders like 30 minutes ago. Congrats. I consider this an improvement over your telling trans people that Democrats plan to shoot them in the head. Like, it's fucking insane. Like, what the fuck? The difference is that most leftist content creators aren't really motivated by bags of money, so our principles wouldn't be thrown away with a paycheck. I mean, I understand that there is a major structural hurdle. There is a major structural hurdle to launching any sort of media operation that people on the left cannot overcome. It's very difficult to like keep pushing through. It's very difficult to like keep pushing through and creating an infrastructure for yourself that is self-funded, that is fan-funded. Okay? That is the reality. And it's virtually impossible to combat the faucet of misinformation coming from the right. But I don't think that the most effective way that people advance their political goals, political agenda is by going to big donors in the Democratic Party and trying to recreate Turning Point USA, but Democratic Party style. I know it's effing. It's raining in LA. It's effing. It's raining in LA. It is what it is. But on that note, so why make an org to do this? Seems like grassroots is the only real option. Fight the right by not fighting the left. Yeah. Like, by the way, that account is obsessed with you. Every post is directed in your worldview. I know. There's a lot of people. There are, unfortunately, far too many people that just like spend every waking moment dishing out their political opinions as an expression of like combating against me. Like these guys, like this Hillary Clinton, like they're doing the bro tip shit now. You know what I mean? They're like, they're out here like doing the exact same lines of attack that the right have tried for years and years to use against me. Things that I've addressed a million times over. It's totally parasitic. It's totally unproductive. It's not something that I have hidden at all. So I don't really know why like this is the only this is the only thing that they know, which is, I mean, look at this guy. This guy's just like consistently fucking talking about only a sociopath will apply aversive, painful shock to a sweet dog during a live stream and then make a joke of it after viewers were rightfully alarmed. Like this guy's only understanding of politics is just like fucking being like, I hate Hasan. This exact same cycle happens every single year, lol. It's what triggered it to me. What I find to be interesting, what triggered it is like going after Gavin Newsom. They either want bros or not in the Democratic Party. These motherfuckers wonder why they lose. I know. Like, it's very strange. Like, holy crap. What is this even? Hasan Piker trying to do alpha male content? Yeah, dude, this was yesterday. I'm still doing it, actually. Old news, my man. How do y'all not see he's a grifter? Oh, I know he is, but I didn't know he tried this particular grift before. BTC is literally hiding behind some course. People like use a shield to stop you from accurately calling out what they're doing. Civil doesn't equal good faith from shit libs. I don't know. I mean, I haven't made like a full-blown assessment, but once again, from where I'm standing, it's like I understand. Oh shit. That was a full F. That was a big one. Gain some more weight like that again? It's tough. Is it totally cooked? Can you guys see me? Are we back? I think we're back, right? It was just stutters. They're all trying to take you down. I don't trust any of them. I mean, I'll fight back. I'll fight back to the best of my ability, you know, but once again, I try to make it as productive, like this pushback to be as productive as possible. And I think part The part of making it productive is by having a bigger conversation. Internet RA mode on. Okay, it's really, it's like not even loading my, I can't even load fucking YouTube right now. I'm totally cooked. Oh wait, it worked. They're intercepting you, Hasan. No more sound bites. No, guys. Hold on. Just wait. The more they trash you, the more it indicates the left's motion. You're just a stand-in for leftists. Yeah, I do think about it like that for the most part. I think about it as like people feeling threatened overall about like what this community represents within the party. And I think some people consider that to be dangerous because they think they've deluded themselves into thinking that like a Bernie Sanders style campaign will actually yield a horrific defeat in the eyes of a reactionary base by Americans. And I think some people think that no, it actually won't be a problem, but it will actually take their power away, their influence away within the ranks of the Democratic Party. And they're first and foremost fearful of losing their position of power. And there are definitely those who just are advancing God damn, the fucking internet, man. Yeah, there are definitely those who are also advancing a personal grievance agenda. Like there are definitely those who are just like so invested in drama, so invested in what their like favorite content creator tells them about like how to do politics, and how to do politics is always advancing drama, being smear merchants, outrage merchants, manufacturing outrage in general, and diluting the conversation, trying to move the conversation away from like productive ideological differences and what the best path forward is to you did this, you did that. I have imagined that you are a bad person, and now I'm going to do everything in my power to like I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that like everybody else also thinks you're a bad person. It's just very stupid. It's very, very stupid. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to some productive things that have taken place. Former Prince Andrew was arrested over suspected misconduct in public office.
News from England, you've heard about it by now, where the king's brother Andrew once...
This might come as a surprise to you, but in other countries, even if you're a part of the fucking monarchy, you can actually receive some legal scrutiny, it seems, when you are a part of an international sex trafficking conspiracy.
Second in line to
we don't know about that in America, of course.
Was arrested by police at his home this morning. Andrew has been detained on suspicion of misconduct amid the growing uproar following the release of those Jeffrey Epstein files. Ramy Inocencio is outside Buckingham Palace with the latest. Ramy, good morning. This is a stunning turn of events. What can you tell us?
Gail, yes, absolutely stunning. Massive news here. The arrest of a British royal at about 8 a.m. this morning. British police arrived at the home of Andrew. We understand that that involved 6 unmarked cars and 8 plainclothes officers. And this is linked to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Not for that, but on suspicion of misconduct while in public office, and that carries a maximum penalty of life in prison.
Photographed on all fours over a female in the Justice Department's most recent release of Jeffrey Epstein's emails, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested at Sandringham, the private estate of his brother King Charles, about 3 hours north of London. On suspicion, Andrew, as trade envoy in the 2000s, shared confidential information with Jeffrey Epstein about investment opportunities around the world, including Afghanistan and Hong Kong. In a statement, police confirmed, "We have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk and carrying out searches at 2 addresses. He remains in police custody and will not be named." Andrew has vehemently denied any wrongdoing whatsoever since he befriended Epstein in 1999.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady.
Including knowing Virginia Giuffre, who accused Epstein of sex trafficking her as a teenager. She took her life last year. Today, her family released a statement saying that Mountbatten Windsor was never a prince.
What? Is that how that works? Like when they take away your prince status, you're just never considered a prince at all? He was simply known as a prince, but he was not a real prince. I'm sorry, but you cannot tell me that capitalism does not create an identical power structure to monarchies when symbolic monarchies have more pressure on monarchs than American capitalism does on its ruling class. What are we doing? America is literally a fucking monarchy, a theocratic monarchy, but the religion is capitalism. The false notion that undergirds the system that directly creates a structure of power for those in positions of power is meritocracy, the myth of meritocracy. Instead of saying God has ordained you to be the king, to rule over this land, we say meritocracy is real and this person worked hard and worked smart and that's why he must rule over me. The lie that it tells people, the lie that it tells the average commoner is that one day you too can be a king. Now, monarchs didn't do that. But that lie, I think, has given capitalism its staying power. But how can you look at this system and think it's anything different than fucking feudalism when American oligarchs are not being punished, but monarchs are? I mean, that's a whole ass prince. Now, I don't know how hard they'll get punished, but this is more scrutiny for a whole ass prince than this is scrutiny for a whole ass prince. Then we have offered our princes, our lordship, our elites.
He was stripped of all royal titles last year and has been under mounting pressure to testify in front of the U.S. Congress.
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
King Charles and Queen Camilla earlier this month said they stand ready to support the police in their investigation. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer applied political pressure.
Everybody is equal under the law and nobody is above the law, and it applies, and it has to apply in this case in the same way as it applies.
Not to your buddies though. I mean, your buddies were heavily involved too, your besties, right?
In any other case.
So much pressure now building on Andrew, the former prince. Also of note, it's his 66th birthday. Gail.
Thank you very much, Remy and Ocencio reporting from London. We want to read now the entire statement from Virginia Giuffre's family. It reads this: "At last today, our broken hearts have been lifted at the news that no one is above the law, not even royalty. On behalf of our sister, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, we extend our gratitude to the UK Thames Valley Police for their investigation and the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He was never a prince for survivors everywhere. Virginia did this for you." Let's bring in our CBS News royal contributor. That's Roya Nika. She is a royal editor for Britain's Sunday Times.
It is kind of funny to me, though, that it's like we got, dude, we got fucking, we have CBS News as royal contributors. Like, we got CBS News on the royalty beat. That blows my mind, okay? That blows my mind. What are we doing? I guess it's good. I don't know, but like, I feel like more focus should be on potentially having a beat on labor. Maybe, I don't know. Literally, we all have royal correspondents on all the networks. Yeah, it's crazy to me. Maybe I'm too woke for this. I don't know. Maybe I'm not cut out for this, but I think like the royalty beat is crazy, especially in America.
And I know that she's getting in position even as we speak. But Roya, we're very excited to have you this morning because we all woke up to this news, and I have to say, we're all still processing it here in the States. I can't imagine what's happening in the UK. Do you know yet if the king is going to respond directly to the arrest of his brother?
Well,
Good morning, Gail. This is all happening very fast, but we have just literally this minute had a statement from the King about the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and I can read that statement to you now. He says, "I've learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and the suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I've said before, they have our full, wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all." And that statement for the King is signed Charles R. So that is the response. Extraordinarily, we are due to see the King open London Fashion Week imminently, as his brother has been arrested this morning. So that's just in, Gail.
Yeah, I'm wondering, it was stunning. For us here in the United States, did you all have any heads up? Was there any talk that this was possibly in the works? Were you all as surprised as we were here in the U.S.?
There has been momentum building over the last few days, Gail. We saw yesterday, I think, an accumulation of around 7 or 8 police forces getting involved. We also had the involvement announced yesterday of the NCA, which is our national crime agency, sometimes described as the British FBI. So there has been a feeling that police forces could no longer not look at this very seriously, and I think it has been moving in one direction. That said, to see those police cars arriving, about 8 of them this morning, at the Sandringham estate, at Wood Farm, where Andrew is temporarily staying, is quite a moment. This is the King's brother who has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in a public office, the first senior royal to ever be arrested.
Roya, it's Vlad. How do we...
It's crazy. It is all... Okay. One immediate comparison here, obviously, is like how unimaginably powerful our, liberal capitalist system has created, beacons of power that are equivalent to the lords of the past, right? Under, feudalism. 100%. Like Elon Musk is literally a god king, right? And what's interesting to me is that liberal capitalism is so successful at creating a process that shifts people's attention away from that indecent consolidation of power that is unchecked, that we will offer kings and princes as the sacrificial lamb before we fucking approach a banker. Okay? Think about that. This motherfucker was a prince. Liberal capitalism is so domineering a force that a monarch who is second in line to the throne will get thrown to slaughter before we touch a banker that has done the same shit that Prince Andrew has done. It's not even a question. Even people who work at the behest of those bankers, at the behest of that international pedophilic cabal, people like Mendelsohn, who were directly aligned with Jeffrey Epstein, who were working at the interest of American capital and international capital, those guys don't receive this level of scrutiny. It is crazy. Think about that. We all understand in our hearts as children that have been born into an environment where liberalism is the monoculture, is the hegemonic, domineering superstructure. We know liberalism. We've learned about liberalism. We know that it's an evolution away from monarchies. We know monarchies are bad. They're undemocratic. We believe in the democratic process. But how is this Epstein shit not causing you to realize that consolidation of power that existed in monarchies is still very much intact right now? It's crazy. We're all a bunch of fucking serfs, man. We're serfs with iPhones, basically. We're serfs that eat hot Cheetos. And we delude ourselves into thinking that we've achieved freedom. We have not. We've deluded ourselves into thinking that we live in a just process where justice will be served. And sure, maybe we have more freedoms in some ways. There's a court system that's supposed to be intact. There's a court system that's supposed to adjudicate evenly. But when push comes to shove and the very wealthy, very powerful get caught with their pants down, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively, no punishments come for them. If you are a regular working class individual and you get caught with a baggie of cocaine, you're receiving a heavy penalty. If you're black and you get caught with a bag of crack, you receive an even larger penalty. If you're RFK Jr., a member of the American royalty, you can talk about how you did cocaine off of toilet seats and you're fine. You're the head of the HHS. If you are Leon Black and you've been for years under legal scrutiny in and out of court cases for all of the victims that you participated in this international sex trafficking conspiracy with, as a co-conspirator, you can still maintain your billions of dollars. Nothing happens. I mean, that's not a real just process at all. That's not a real system of justice. That's not abiding by the principles of the rule of law that is evenly applied to every single person, that no man is above the law. It's bullshit. These guys are still very much gods. They're very much kings that live amongst us. And we think, or rather, we delude ourselves into thinking that we can be like them one day. And that's why the system is actually much better. It's far superior. But if you pulled yourself out and approached the issue holistically, you would realize that there is fundamentally no difference between the feudal structure that we used to exist under versus what we have now under liberal capitalism. The only thing is the system defends itself a lot better. That's it.
Have we heard anything at all from the prince's former wife, Sarah Ferguson, and his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, and how they are perhaps reacting to this news?
But at the moment, this is all very new. We have not yet heard from the former Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, or from Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. It has been quite interesting in the last few weeks. Sarah Ferguson, we know, has been abroad a little bit. She has kept a very low profile, as have the princesses. Obviously, very difficult time for them. It's been made very clear from the palace and from the king that regardless of what Andrew Mountbatten Windsor may or may not have done, and we must stress he has always denied any wrongdoing in this issue, that the king has always been very clear to keep the girls close, but this is going to be a very difficult time for them. Things have seriously escalated now.
Roya, the phrase misconduct in office, what exactly does that mean? I'm not familiar with that. And what happens now?
Well, misconduct in a public office.
What is it, like a guy next to her just like picking up gravel with a shovel? What's happening?
There's various forms of it. What the police are looking at specifically here is the emergence of what the emails in the Epstein files appear to show, which is that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, during his decade as the UK's trade envoy from 2001 to 2011, appeared to send sensitive, highly classified documents and information, government information, briefing information on things like reconstruction in Afghanistan, on things like investment opportunities in around the world, from his trips around the world, from China contacts, to Jeffrey Epstein. And there is a suggestion, not proven, there's a possibility that Jeffrey Epstein may have used some of that information to his financial advantage. We must stress again that Andrew has not been charged. He has merely been arrested on suspicion of this and denies any wrongdoing. But if someone is charged and if they are found guilty of that offence, it does carry a maximum life sentence.
Wow. All right. Roya, Nika, we appreciate you getting on the air for us this morning with the breaking news. Thank you very much.
Thames Valley Police is able to provide an update in relation to investigation into the offence of misconduct in public office.
It's no longer Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's Andrew Mountbatten. No Windsor. No Prince. I see a path. I know you do too. Billionaires versus solidarity. Yes.
On Thursday.
Billionaires are functionally no different than the tyrants of the old ages. Tyrants, the monarchs, the fucking lords, right? The reality is they now have more power than even the symbolic monarchs do. It's clear. It's clear. Under liberal capitalism, a billionaire has more power than a fucking monarch does. Okay? A prince can receive more scrutiny from the system, albeit symbolic, albeit as a sacrificial lamb to throw some red meat in the face of the masses to make them feel like the system is still working. But it's clear that Les Wexner, Leon Black, and even some of their more prominent servants, like Mendelssohn in the UK, or even Keir Starmer, will receive less penalties than a fucking monarch does. Yeah, I saw. This is what he looked like too, which is really funny. History repeats. And it rhymes, but it also repeats. This is what I said. Tell me the U.S. doesn't have the same power structure as monarchs of the old when you have princes receiving more legal scrutiny in the U.K. than we offer our oligarchs who are just as compromised by Epstein. This is the great lie of liberal capitalism. Now, of course, it's been released, but I'm just saying, like who's gotten their fucking fingerprints? Who's gotten their photos taken? Who's been perp walked in the United States of America amongst the wealthiest Epstein class? Who?
19th of February, we arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrested man has now been released under investigation. We can also confirm that our searches in Norfolk have now concluded.
We begin with the stunning arrest today of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. We have late word that Andrew has been released after spending most of the day in police custody. Police in Britain arrested the former prince this morning.
British press working overtime, including Emily Matlow, who famously conducted that train wreck interview with Andrew. Fucking hate my country's media. This is a pretty grave moment.
The reasons I'm gobsmacked is because there is something very personal in this as well, and we talk a lot about people's sort of state of mind and health and all the rest of it. And I suppose I do feel, I feel concern, actually, as I'm watching this story unfold.
Why?
And I suppose that two things can be simultaneously true, that it can have been a long time coming. But when it does, there is somebody at the centre of it, and it is a father, and there are children.
Are you fucking... What? Dude, I swear to God, every British person has a chip in their brain. I swear to God. They have a surf chip, and it activated. Lady, you cooked his ass. You played a more significant role in moving this along than the average person did, okay? And for that, I thank you, okay? This got to be out of context or something, but I just don't understand how this can be in context at all. I don't. How can you be so servile? Like, what the fuck? A pretty grave moment, sighs Emily Maitlis, the same journalist who once watched Prince Andrew tie himself in the knots, denying he could sweat. How noble this sudden tenderness for a man whose closest friends ran an international trafficking ring. One almost feels for him. Almost. The real grave moments, of course, belong to the girls who never got royal protection or a sympathetic interview on LBC. Priorities. So this doesn't make any sense, because you know who else had fathers, had sisters, had daughters later down the line, loved ones. The victims of Andrew Mountbatten. You know, everybody's got family. The fuck do you mean? Oh, wow, we have to offer our condolences and our sympathy to this like true villain. If we cannot establish that there are real villains, even in this like liberal structure that we exist in, this liberal hegemony that we exist under, if we cannot say an international sex trafficker and their closest associates are fucking villains, no one is a villain. There are no villains at that point. You know who the villain is? You. Okay? If you are a rapist as a working class individual, you're a villain. If you're a rapist as a king, as a prince, then you're a victim. You're a victim of your own, you're a victim of this system. It's crazy. Offer more sympathy to people who have done wrong, not, you know, participated in international sex trafficking of children, of course, but just like, you know, done crimes of circumstance, engaged in crimes of circumstance. Offer more sympathy to those people than you do to the fucking people at the tippy top. What are we doing? I feel like people's priorities are completely swapped for some fucking crazy reason. We need to be more sympathetic to the working poor that ends up stealing shit because they want to fucking feed their family, whether it's a Gucci bag or not. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You can't sell the bread. Bread can't actually substitute for rent. Gucci bags can, right? I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can just look at a system or look at victims of systemic forces and not offer them a shred of sympathy, but then you find all the sympathy in the end for a guy who is objectively like a straight up comic book villain, like so evil that it's comical almost. Unfortunately, it's not funny at all because it's real life and there are real victims. She's saying that she has, she's reflecting on the moment of former Prince Andrew getting arrested and thinking, well, this person is a father.
Simultaneously true, that it can have been a long time coming. But when it does, there is somebody at the centre of it, and it is a father, and there are children, and there is a mental health question. And I suppose that's what's sort of holding me back a bit and saying this is a pretty serious moment. You know, it's a grave moment. It's not a sort of jumping up and down moment.
No, of course not.
I think one of the reasons I'm gobsmacked.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean? I mean, that makes no fucking sense. What does that even mean, bro? Oh my God, the Les Wexner full deposition to House Democrats on the Epstein files just came out. Woo! Who remembers Emily Maitlis sat in front of a backdrop of Corbyn with a Photoshop hat in Kremlin? BBC fine with that, but not with her remarks about Cummings. Yeah, BBC's fine with this, but not her remarks about Prince Andrew either. LBC. Now she's at LBC talking about Prince Andrew being a victim of the system. It's like, no. It's crazy to me that you could just sit there and say, what about it with your posh accent on mainstream television, on a mainstream news outlet, and say, what about the feelings of the international pedophilic cabal? What about it? Yeah, I don't care, man. I mean, call me too woke. Call me woke, but I don't fucking give a shit about the feelings of international sex traffickers and members of the Epstein class. You know who does, though? And there is like elite solidarity there. Donald Trump. Here's what Donald Trump had to say when asked about the arrest of the former Prince Andrew.
It's not a good one, Peter. What do you think?
I got a question about something big overseas today. The former Prince Andrew arrested by the police there, related to something with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think people in this country at some point, associates of Jeffrey Epstein, will wind up in handcuffs too.
Well, you know, I'm the expert in a way because I've been totally exonerated.
Yeah, I'm the expert at being a participant in the pedophile class. POG, I call it, pedophile occupied government. I'm the expert of pedophilia. Totally exonerated. Have you been? Have you been totally exonerated? I don't think so. I'm the least guilty man in America. From the standpoint of pedophilia, no one is less guilty than me.
That's very nice. I can actually speak about it very nicely. I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing. When I see that, it's a very sad thing. To see it and to see what's going on with his brother, who's obviously coming to our country very soon, and he's a fantastic man, the king. So I think it's a very sad thing.
It's a real shame. It's a real shame that the pedophilic prince is receiving a little bit of scrutiny from the legal system, just like a little bit. He's out already. He's not like, he's not going to remain in prison, I don't think. I mean, we'll see where it goes, but like, just a real shame. I think to myself, on the one hand, a pedophile friend of mine had to get a little bit of interrogation today. And on the other hand, another shame. South Korea, folks. South Korea coming after, they're calling him an insurrectionist. They're calling him an insurrectionist. They gave him life in prison. A real shame, folks. President Yoon, the real president of my soul, of my life, former South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol, sentenced to life imprisonment with labor for leading an insurrection over his failed martial law declaration. I will be demanding his release.
Really interesting because nobody used to speak about Epstein when he was alive, but now they speak. But I'm the one that can talk about it because I've been totally exonerated. I did nothing. In fact, the opposite. He was against me. He was fighting me in the election, which I just found out through the last 3 million pages of documents. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
You said today on Iran, bad things will happen.
In the last year alone, the UK arrested his prince. Korea sentences former president to life in prison. Brazil sentences former president to 27 years. France sentences former presidents to 5 years. Peru arrested and jailed its former president. The Philippines arrested its former president. In the U.S., our system completely failed. An unlimited pardon power and Supreme Court's new absurd invented concept of presidential immunity will only further protect presidential crimes. I think the most unlikely bedfellow in this entire process has been the libertarians, who are real libertarians, by the way, and not the fucking only invested in lowering the age of consent libertarians who love Trump and love the fucking border wall and shit. But like the Cato Institute guys, I lean on so much more than I ever thought I would, even though they have like fantastical narratives that they go along with where they say like we should just destroy the federal government or whatever. I cannot believe how much I lean into Cato Institute think tank guys and Reason Magazine think tank guys as well. It's at least there are some people out there who fucking recognize how insane this system is. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, I don't think the Philippines arrested their president, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The rest of the point still stands. Yeah, Matt Petty writes for Reason, and I think he's one of the best out there who has a different approach to this stuff, but at least like he covers the madness. He speaks to my confusion where when I sit here and watch what the fuck's going on.